Joe Biden is swamped. And it's so funny just because if you know any of what's been going on with DC Comics has just tanked miserably. In the past 5 years, they are saturated. Speaking of swamps, the DC universe, the DC writers, DC Comics writers have been, they're saturated in the swamp of anti-Trumpers. They're all anti-Trumpers there, and this is just poetic justice just to see. So funny to see. And it says, if you can't see it very well, I'm trying new stuff here with my other screen, and it just says, of course, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your wife. Joe Biden is the Swamp Thing. So funny. Such good stuff. And it just goes to show, I mean, for anyone just who believes that he would be a good candidate, I'm sorry, maybe you do, and that's fine. But that's fine if you do. But hide your wife and hide your kids. Because he is, and if you saw my meme that I made on him doing his ridiculous, like, when they asked him to apologize, he wouldn't. I mean, I get it, the cancel culture. If you apologize, you're not supposed to apologize. But he had an outright, very, very good reason to apologize, and he refuted. He fought that tooth and nail. They kept asking him, "Would you apologize?" I mean, it's like, I feel bad for those poor women. Anyway, those poor women who didn't get. I mean, it's like they feel. I can't imagine how they would feel after not getting an apology, after, for him to be so like, oh, I wasn't wrong, like, for him to continuously tout that and continuously perpetuate this lie. Anyway, it's just silly. It's like, you're not going to feel at all guilty. Have you seen the footage? Have you seen the way you fondled these people? Moving on here. So let me just quickly show you. I don't know if this is even worth doing, but this was in Newsweek magazine. Newsweek tends to be a little bit more middle of the road and a little bit more unbiased, at least these days. It seems that way. I know that they've been certain, and they're realizing that, that we know the truth. We know the lies. We know the truth and we see the lies. Let's see here. Altered. This was actually in. So this came from, it looks like, Donald Trump Jr. at the Republican National Convention labeled Joe Biden the Loch Ness monster of the DC swamp. And that's funny. DC Comics, that's actually really funny. The DC swamp, the DC Comics, conservatives turned the imagery in their heads into a social media meme on Thursday. A secretive group took it to the extreme by illegally hijacking a billboard on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood and turning it into a monstrous anti-Joe Biden hit piece. That's actually hilarious. Just great to see. And I'm sure it'll be funny to see. It won't be there for long, I'm sure. But it's like, I mean, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, he is kind of a freak. The gigantic billboard sits atop the Whiskey A Go Go nightclub, and it used to advertise Swamp Thing, the DC Comics television show that airs on CW Network. But working through the night Wednesday, and I did reviews on that show, by the way, in case you feel like checking them out, they'll be right here. But working through the night Wednesday, a secret conservative group of street artists known as the Faction dubbed Biden's face over that real Swamp Thing. So anyway, just funny stuff. The Faction also altered the words on the billboard so that instead of the original Deep Water, Deep Secrets, it now reads Joe Biden is Swamp Thing and hide your kids, hide your wife. Warner Brothers, which controls DC and the CW, declined to comment, though Donald Trump Jr. told Newsweek, whoever made this billboard nailed it. Joe Biden spent 47 years in Washington, D.C., enriching his family, exporting the jobs of American workers, and selling out our country to Chinese communists. There is no bigger Swamp Thing in American history than Joe. He nailed it, man. Trump Jr. is nailing it, man. He is destroying people across the board. It's just great to see him, kicking butt in the limelight. The Biden campaign did not respond to requests for comments. Let's see. Okay. So his star, last time we saw Trump's star, it was kind of mutilated. There we go. What does it say here? The faction faked dozens of Trump stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2019. Okay, so I didn't see that. They put a bunch of them. That's funny. That is freaking awesome. The faction previously made headlines worldwide when it placed dozens of fake but remarkably authentic-looking Donald Trump stars. That's great. I didn't know this. I didn't see this one either. That is so great. Isn't it great? Wow. People, and it's like he actually cares about you. The people who hate him, he cares about you. He cares about making your life awesome. Faction previously made headlines. See a reaction to the several times that the president's real star there were vandalized. Of course, we knew that. We saw those. I don't know if you saw those, but I don't have photos of those immediate to me, but it was pretty funny. Anyway, let me know what you think of this in the comments. Thank you to all my recent subscribers. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for being on board with me. In case you hit the notification bell, because to keep those numbers up, I need you. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you. The conservative street art pioneered by a man who goes by the name Sabo has become quite elaborate during his during this presidential election cycle. Last week, for example, a group whose anonymous members include some folks with legitimate jobs in the movie and TV industries created a Trump sign 20 feet tall and 70 feet wide on a hillside near the 405 freeway in LA that mimicked the famous Hollywood sign. It lasted throughout much of night and early morning, but by 9 a.m. government workers were knocking down the letters and removing them. The group behind that effort told Newsweek they are simply known as Anonymous Patriots. It's a psychological terror op designed to counter the psychological terror ops that the Democratic government of California has been running on its citizens since the lockdown. An anonymous patriot told Newsweek it's a sign to all the war-weary citizens are behind enemy lines that are not forgotten, and that there are others like them here in Vichy, California. So good. Oh, it's so good. I think I need to start making some video memes of that now. We might have to start doing that, the Swamp Thing. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you, and have a wonderful day.